if I'm going to buy an older house and that house has a legal suite built at the time when it was approved by the city, but in that area now city is not approving for the legal suite. So will I be still able to rent that basement, or I have to get the approval from the city again?
Okay, good question. Okay, so let's take a look at, so potential scenario is that there was a house with a legal suite that was built back in 1960s. It was legal, which means they had proper permits and everything to, and it met the bylaws, land use bylaws of that time. Okay, so what type of suite is it? So let's break down the scenario, right? So first of all, what type of suite is that? So that would be called a non-conforming suite. Okay. So if at this point the city doesn't allow suites in that area, but it was allowed when it was built. So that's not a legal suite, that's called non-conforming suite, which means it met the land use bylaws at that time, but does not meet the current land use bylaws. Okay, so that's called non-conforming suite. So anytime we have a non-conforming suite, there are some rules that we have to follow. So in this case, if the suite has been rented previously and it has been rented, then you can still rent it, right? The person purchasing the property can still rent the suite. However, if there's been a gap between tenants, so let's say it wasn't rented for 6 months, right? So now they are not able to rent it. So it's different cities will have different rules around how long that time period is. But 6 months, let's say 6 months is the time period. So if the suite has not been rented for the last 6 months, now the buyer who's purchasing the property would then have to bring the suite into compliance before they can rent it out. So in this case, if the city is not allowing suites in that area, then they would not be able to bring it into compliance, which means they would not be able to rent it. But in this kind of scenario, when there's a non-conforming suite, rules would be, first of all, if it has been rented, it can continue being rented. But if it has not been, or if let's say the property gets damaged and they're renovating the property, then they would have to then bring it into compliance before they can continue.
Okay, so if there is a gap, then they have to go back to the city and ask the permission for to the city.
Correct. Yeah. They would have to bring
Okay,
it back into compliance. Yeah.
thank you, Raman. Thank you.